Peace. All right, guys. So I named the video "Are You Under a God Spell?" Part 2, and I like to ask that you look at Part 1 before you make any judgments on Part 2, because I'm gonna say some things that was probably already covered in Part 1. So I just like for you to look at Part 1 first. But anyway, I'm going to put the sources that I use in the description box. Whenever I say a word means this, that, or the other, I always put the sources that I use in the description box. Um, so before I go deeply into this, I just want to start off by saying that it has been scientifically proven that DNA can be reprogrammed by using words and frequencies. And that's something that you can Google that. You can just Google scientists, DNA, words, change, alter, whatever words you want to use. But your DNA can be changed through words and vibrations, which is frequency. All right, now I'm going to be talking about Satan, and I always like to make sure that the listeners understand that I'm not talking about some invisible being in the sky. I'm talking about adversaries that are here on earth, and they control the money. And I came to the conclusion that they are controlling the sound, which is vibrations, and they're keeping it at a low vibration to keep the masses of people under a spiritual hypnosis or under a spiritual unconsciousness. And that's what I'm really going to get at in this video. So if I'm saying that Satan or the adversary is in control of sound, consider that Lucifer, the theory is that Lucifer was in control of the music, which music is relative to sound. And sound is actually relative to light because they're both forms of energy. They're almost identical. As a matter of fact, I think sound actually gives off light, even though we can't particularly see it. But that's what the vibrations give off a light. I think so, anyway. But um, so Lucifer also means cipher. Cipher is the suffix in Lucifer, and cipher means a secret code. Now consider that your brain works like a computer. So if your brain works like a computer, that means that you can be programmed. That means that you can be programmed on how to think, what to think, um, just your behavior. It can be programmed. Because a computer, how do you program a computer? You write a language. You write a coded language. And it actually runs in the background. So you don't see that. You see the front end, but the coding is in the background. So it's fair to say that there's a secret language running in the background of the computer. It's the same thing in your mind. You know, if someone is planting thoughts in your mind through a secret language, then yeah, you can be programmed. All right, so I want to talk about where language is relative in the Bible, and that is at the building of the Tower of Babel. Um, Starting at Genesis 11:6, because it was the God Jehovah that actually confused the language. But it says, "And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do." So consider that this language that they had one language, and obviously there was power behind it because it said that nothing will be restrained from them, and anything that they imagine to do, they'll be able to achieve. Basically, is what that scripture is saying. And so Jehovah decided to confuse the language. And it says, Genesis 11:7, "Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So confound means to mix, to mingle, or to confuse. Now, that word confuse, you have to consider that the Bible also says that God is not the author of confusion. So that's actually a contradiction because it was Jehovah that confused the language. Okay? Now there was only one language. So if he confused them or he mixed them or he mingled them, that means he probably in my theory, he took one language and made that multiple languages. Okay, so that's how he caused confusion, so that nobody knows, we're not all on the same accord. That actually probably brought down the energy on the planet. Anyway, so I'm gonna skip to Genesis 11:9, where it says, "Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth." Okay, so the word Babel, of course, is the root word of the word Babylon, which means confusion. Now, if you look up the word Babel and look at the phonetics of it, it's actually a short A, so it's actually pronounced Bible. Bible. So what are you really saying phonetically? You're saying Bible. It's the same word. You're saying Bible. So consider that. Now, the word babbler, which I would say is relative to the word Babel, which means confusion, but the word babbler, is in the New Testament, and it's talking about, it's in relative to Paul, the philosophers, which philosopher means lover of wisdom. They called Paul a babbler because they didn't believe what he was preaching about Jesus. Paul is actually a false apostle, but that's a subject for another video. But the word babbler right there, Babbler, it's spermologos. So it's sperm and logos. Sperm is something that is sown, something that you plant and you grow something, or it's also a seed, right? And then it's logos, which means word. So really a babbler is someone that plants a word in your mind, or plants words in your mind so that they'll grow into thoughts. So that's like programming your mind right there. If you want to call someone a babbler, that's basically what you're calling them. There's someone that is controlling the thoughts in your mind by planting certain words there. All right, so that is actually where the core of the war. People keep saying that there's a spiritual war going on. Yeah, it is. It's in language, really, is where the core of it is. I looked up the etymology of the word war, and that word, it had a lot of different words connected to it, but the one that stuck out to me was confusion, because it was Jehovah that confused the languages. And language is relative to sound, which is vibration. It has to do with energy. And sound is relative to light. Sound and light, like I said, I think I said that they are almost identical. They both give off energy. All right. So I want to talk about the English language specifically because I study multiple languages. I don't speak multiple languages, but I do study the transliterations of different languages, being Hebrew, Greek, Arabic, Akkadian. I also look at the transliteration of the hieroglyphics, Sanskrit a little bit. I looked at that, but I noticed that English is a mixture of multiple languages, not just Greek and Latin, like a lot of people might think. I've noticed words in English that go all the way back to the Akkadian language. But anyway, if you break down the word English, you're saying angel-ish. Okay? You're ish, you say man. That's how you say man in the Hebrew language. Iysh. So you're saying angel man. Who could the angel man be? It's probably Satan or your adversary. So 2 Corinthians 11:14 says, "And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light." So it says is transformed. That is means that's currently, right now, that he is transformed. See, they put transformed and make it ed. They make it sound like it's past tense. But it says is also in a sentence. So he is transformed as an angel of light right now. So what it's really saying is that the adversary is transformed into a messenger of light, because angel means a messenger. And light is relative to sound. Now, of course, Satan would be considered a false light, um, because light can actually blind you if you're not paying attention. Light can blind you. So what I'm getting at is the adversary that is controlling the vibration on the planet, and it's through sound. It's through the language that we have, not just English, probably all of the languages, because it was Jehovah that changed the languages, or that confused the languages. All right, I'm going to cut it short here, and I'm going to probably make another part to this, but I'd like for you to encourage you to study anyway, and check that article out about how your DNA can be changed. Because if your DNA can be changed, that means your behavior can be changed. Your DNA is relative to your genetics, which your genetics, sometimes your genetics have to do with your behavior. All right, peace.